The restaurant hummed with low jazz and clinking silverware. Naomi Carter balanced a silver tray, her smile soft but tired, her movements graceful even after 10 hours on her feet. Behind her, the manager's voice slipped like oil. Too close, too low. Smile like that for me, sweetheart. Naomi froze for half a second, then forced herself to keep walking. She'd learned to ignore words like that. But Alan didn't stop. As she passed the bar, his hand clamped around her wrist. The tray tilted, one glass shattered, spilling red wine across the marble floor. Conversations faltered. Someone laughed nervously. Alan hissed, "You think you can walk away from me?" And yanked her toward the hallway leading to the restrooms. The music skipped. The waitstaff stared but didn't move. The restaurant's golden glow suddenly felt colder, and at the corner booth, a man in a black suit slowly looked up from his plate. He folded his napkin with deliberate calm, placed it beside his untouched glass of scotch, and stood. Alan had no idea who he'd just touched. Alan thought he was dragging a powerless waitress, but he was walking straight into a storm. Just hours earlier, La Bella Notte had been alive with laughter, flickering candles, and the soft notes of a saxophone floating through the air. Naomi Carter moved through the crowd like she belonged to the rhythm itself. Poised, calm, the kind of grace that made people forget their own noise. "Evening. Mr. Reynolds," she said warmly to a regular guest. "Your usual table?" Her voice carried kindness, not just service. Behind the bar, Alan Briggs smirked. "Always smiling for tips, huh?" he muttered, loud enough for the busboy to hear. Naomi pretended not to. She'd learned that silence was armor, sharper than words. Her phone buzzed in her apron. A name flashed, Vince. She stepped into the kitchen doorway to answer. "Hey," his deep voice said, calm and warm. "You sound tired." "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just another long night." "Be careful tonight, sweetheart," he said before hanging up. She smiled faintly. He always said that, like he knew more than he should. The dinner rush hit. Tables filled with politicians, lawyers, men who thought their money made them invisible. Naomi carried herself through it like a quiet storm, until Alan brushed past her at the counter. His hand lingered a second too long. She froze. He grinned. "Relax, I'm just being friendly," he said. From across the bar, her coworker hissed, "He's in a mood!" "Naomi, just stay out of his way tonight." Naomi turned back to the guests, forcing her smile again, but the light behind it dimmed just a little. Because the next time Alan reached for her, someone else's eyes were already on him. Naomi's pulse raced as she tried to slip past Alan near the hallway. She clutched her tray close, muttering, "Excuse me, I've got tables waiting." But Alan moved in front of her, blocking the narrow passage with a smug smile. "Don't act like you're too good to talk to me," he said, his voice dropping low. "You keep this up and maybe I'll find someone who actually wants this job." Naomi's grip tightened. "Please move." He leaned closer, his breath heavy with whiskey. "You gonna tell someone?" "Go ahead. I'm the manager." "No one's gonna believe a waitress?" Her tray slipped from her hands. It hit the floor, the crash sharp enough to cut through the jazz music. Heads turned. A few waiters glanced their way, uneasy, but no one moved. In the corner booth, Vince's driver leaned in. "Boss, something's off." Vince didn't respond. He just set his glass down slowly, eyes fixed on the hallway. Behind the door, Alan's hand caught Naomi's arm. She twisted, pushing him back. "Let go!" she shouted. Her voice swallowed. By music and clinking glasses, the sound inside the restroom turned into a dull thud. Then silence. And then came a voice that froze, the air, calm, low, icy. "Alan, open the door." Alan stiffened. He yanked it open, irritation on his face. "This is staff business, pal." "Who the hell are you?" Vince stepped forward, every inch composed power, tailored suit, sharp eyes that didn't blink. "I'm her husband." The words landed heavier than a shout. The diners who had looked away now stared, breath caught between curiosity and fear. Alan's smirk faded. Vince took one step closer, voice still steady. "Now why don't you tell me what business you have with my wife?" If you were there, would you speak up or stay silent? The restaurant fell silent, as if even the walls were holding their breath. The room went silent. You could hear the slow ticking of the clock above the bar, 1 second at a time. Vince didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Apologize, he said simply. Alan blinked, confused. What? Apologize to my wife. Alan forced a laugh, voice trembling. You don't scare me, man. This is my place. I run this joint. Vince tilted his head slightly, a small, calm smile. You do? He nodded toward the bar. One of his men, dressed like a diner patron, stood and locked the front door. Another quietly told guests to leave. No one argued. Within seconds, the restaurant emptied, leaving only the hum of the refrigerator and the heavy sound of Alan's breathing. Vince stepped closer, his tone soft, almost friendly. I used to run places like this too, before I found someone worth changing for. Alan's eyes flicked to Naomi's chest, her name tag glinting under the light. Naomi Romano. His face went pale. Naomi placed a hand gently on Vince's arm. He's not worth it. Vince looked at her, then smiled faintly. You're right. He turned back to Alan. It's your place. But now, you'll serve her? He tossed a thick envelope onto the counter, stamped with legal seals. The restaurant's deed, bought hours earlier. Alan froze. You what? Vince leaned in close. Next time you grab someone, make sure they don't own the floor you're standing on. Alan's knees buckled. He stammered, please don't fire me. Vince turned to Naomi, eyes calm, voice low. Your call. The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Share this if you still believe respect can't be bought. It's earned. Naomi's next words decided not just his fate, but hers. Naomi stood still for a long moment. Alan knelt before her, eyes wild, hands shaking, the smell of fear filling the air. Vince's men waited for a signal, but Naomi's voice came first, quiet, steady, unshaken. Let him go, she said. Vince looked at her, surprised. She didn't flinch. Fear won't fix him, she added softly. But walking out of here knowing what he lost might. Vince gave a small nod. His men stepped back. Alan stumbled to his feet, muttered something no one cared to hear, and pushed through the doors. Out of the restaurant and out of their lives forever. For a few seconds, there was nothing but silence, the kind that cleanses. Weeks later, La Bella Notte glowed differently. New music, new laughter. Naomi, now the manager, moved through the dining room not as someone serving, but as someone leading. The staff respected her. The guests loved her. Even the walls seemed to breathe easier. At closing time, Vince appeared. No suit, no guards, just a man who looked at his wife with quiet pride. You didn't have to buy the place, Naomi teased. Wiping a table, he smiled faintly, voice low. Didn't buy it for me. I did it so no one could ever touch your piece again. She paused, then reached for his hand. You know, she whispered, it's strange. You used to protect me from the world, but tonight. I think you saw I could protect myself, Vince chuckled softly. Guess I married the real boss. The two of them walked toward the door as Naomi turned off the lights, one by one, until only the warm glow from outside painted their faces. The city hummed beyond the glass, alive and restless. But for them, it was just another night, another quiet victory where justice didn't need noise to be felt. Subscribe for more stories where calm love silences cruelty. What if true power meant protecting peace, not proving it?